What's up YouTube? Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin back again with another video, and today we are going to solve lab number 2 from server-side request forgery module. This is again a vulnerability of server-side, and I'm going to solve this lab from Web Security Academy from Portsfigure. Before going further, this little disclaimer as always for you: this video and its contents are only for educational and awareness purpose, and I do not support any unethical or illegal act. That's been said, in the previous labs, in the first lab, we actually brief and we saw how that SSRF works and how we can find it. In the second lab, we solve the basic SSRF and we engage with the target, local target. Means we do not go anywhere inside the subnet or inside the internal network, but we engage with the server itself. Before going further, if you did not subscribe the channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so that you get the notifications on time. So let's go. This is your first lab, right? Basic SSRF against local server means the attacker or a threat actor can actually just interact with this front-end application, because this application is published over internet. So he interact with this application, he search different functionality, he try to see how this application behaves, and he finds somewhere that there could be a SSRF. So he checked that, he tested that, and he successfully tested that SSRF vulnerability exists on this web application. So instead of going anywhere else in the internal subnet, first of all he go and check whether there is any internal portal or anything, any directory, any endpoint, interesting endpoint which has administrative controls over this this server itself. So he checks /admin. So /admin can be accessible but only from the local host or the loopback address. Means any request coming from outside with public IP, it is not going to access /admin functionality. The only request can access /admin portal if it's coming from loopback address, means localhost or 127.0.0.1, because this is its loopback address. So this server trusts on that request, but this threat actor successfully accessed the admin panel and deleted the Carlos account. So this was the history of the first lab. Now in the second lab, what we are going to see now that, okay, this threat actor already see all the interesting thing or all the interesting features what he can exploit on this server. Now the next step is to scan the internal subnet of this organization or the internal network of this organization, and while scanning he will scan each and every subnet IP, and then he is going to identify what resource that IP have and what are the operating systems running over it, if there is any application running, what ports are open, what services are there. Fine. So but because he cannot directly access this internal subnet resources or any internal server or services, so he will weaponize this front end server SSRF vulnerability to access the internal resources, and this is what we are going to do in this lab. So there is an API which is running on an internal server. Fine. And if it is running on internal server, that means it has a local subnet IP, and then he is going to see what are the administrative resources there on this API server, because he cannot directly access that, so he will come from this front end server. And suppose this API also have administrative portal. Instead of on this front end server, the admin portal is inside this server. Let's go and we will see that. So this is our lab, basic SSRF against another backend system. So this lab has a stock check feature which fetches data from an internal system. So to solve the lab, use the stock check functionality to scan the internal subnet, and the subnet is like this. That means /24 range for an admin interface on port number 8080, and then use it to delete the Carlos account. That's very fine. So this is our lab here, and I already open up the burp suite. Now I'm going to manage these windows a bit so that you can see both of the windows simultaneously. So enabling the burp proxy on my browser, go to the HTTP history on the burp suite, and let's choose a product. So I'm going to choose, let's say, this one, and here we get the request. So if you scroll down, there is a functionality to check stock, and if you click on this scroll down button, you will find there are 3 stocks: London, Paris and Milan. So I'm going to choose this Milan, and once I click on this check stock button, I will know, okay, there are 983 units there. And here in the burp suite we got a post request. If you see this request closely, you will find here this interesting parameter, and this is stock API. That means there is an API server this request is calling, and this is the URL. So I'm going to send this URL to the decoder first. Go to the decoder and just click on smart decode so that you can see clearly. Now the picture is clear that, okay, I'm sending the request from public IP, and the server is receiving the request to public IP. And so what this is all about, so it is very easy to identify that, okay, the server is calling an internal server from internal subnet on port number 8080. That means this server could be an API server or any web server, some kind of web service running on it. And what service, we can see clearly to check the stock, right? So now that is interesting for me. So I'm going back to the proxy request and send this request to the intruder. Now my mindset is like, if there is an API published on port 8080 on this IP, maybe there are other IPs, or maybe there are other API servers or endpoint too. Those are published on port 8080. So let's scan the subnet, and the idea is I'm going to clear this, and let's just choose this one, because I'm going to scan each IP 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 254. 0 is the network address here, and 255 is going to be the broadcast address. So we are going to leave these 2 addresses. Rest of the addresses we are going to see. So let's go. This is the position we already choose. Now it's time to attack type. Attack type is sniper. Okay, go to the payload, and payload I'm going to choose numbers because we are going to send numbers. So from 1 to 254, and each time it increase 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Now minimum fraction digit is 0 and maximum fraction digit is 0. So in that case you get whole number. Now that's it. Just go and start the attack. Okay, and we need to just wait a moment. Now as you can see, on 0 it's saying 200. Okay, and on 1 it's again saying 200. Okay, and the length is 101, because this is the genuine URI or the genuine server running with this endpoint what we choose here, right? So we will get the response, of course, but if you see, rest of these IPs giving us 500. So if you choose any of these 500 requests, you can see in the request, in the response you can see 500 internal server error. Why? Because on these IPs there is no service running on port 8080, or there is no web service running on these IPs. Fine. So if we scroll down, there is one more, and it is showing 404. So if we click on 404, this is the request, and here you can see the IP is 28 and the port number is 8080, and we are looking for this endpoint. So maybe this endpoint does not exist on this particular API server. That's why it's saying 404, means this endpoint does not exist. Let's see the response first. So if we click on response, you can see not found, and that's why we are getting 404. That means there could be something else there, but not this product and all. Fine. So we got something, we got an interesting IP there. I'm going to intruder again and let it scan, or we are going to pause because we already get what we need. So okay, now going back to the proxy and now send this request to the repeater. Now come back to the repeater, and here instead of, I'm going to put this copy, go to decoder. It's already in decoder, so I'm going to just copy this value so that you can understand that easily. Repeater, and paste that here. Now what IP we found? Instead of 1, we found 28, right? And if we click on this, send, no, not 25, 28, sorry, send this request, and we found 404 not found, means the resource we are trying to access is not found. So what now I'm going to do is delete all these and just send again, not found. So now let's say a and send this request again, and again the resource is not found. So here directory enumeration comes in the picture, and I'm going to send this request to the intruder one more time, and I'm going to actually, let's see, close this, we don't need that, discard. Yeah, we send another request to the intruder. This is the request. Now clear all the positions and just add this position. Okay, and click on add button, and here you can see it's added. Attack type is sniper. Okay, go to the payload section, and here I am going to just load, instead of load, actually, because this is community version this time I'm using, so it's going to take too much time, but I'm going to add some default and very common directories here, like /admin. Okay, one more time I want to check position, slash is there. Yeah, so come back here, admin, login, fine, let's say log out. Okay, let's say services. Okay, dashboard. Okay, let's say mean. Okay, robots.txt, it could be there. CGI bin. Okay, index.html. So you can also load a file, directory word list. So if I go back in the web content, we are already there. We can choose raft. Where is raft? Raft, small files, lowercase. You can also load this file here. As you can see, now it's loaded. Sorry, not the file. We need to actually load, clear this first, close, clear, load one more time, but not the files. We are looking for the directories first. So directories, where are you? Lowercase, this. Fine. So it's loaded. Everything is there. First of all, user, libraries, CGI bin, images, admin. So let's try this one and start the attack. Click OK. So if we choose this request, double click on it, and if we try to see what it's sending http:// this is the endpoint which is alive, and some web service is running on port number 8080. We verify that, but we are looking for the directory. So the first directory, CGI bin, is there. We are going to check that, and once we go to response, we find not found. Not found means this directory is not on the target. So close this, and as you can see, there is 404 everywhere, 404. But if you see this admin, this looks interesting because we got here 200. Let's open this up and maximize it. we are sending like this, and let's see the response. And if you see the response, it is awesome, because you got here admin panel, you got here links to delete the Carlos account, and that's what you need to do to complete the lab, right? Fine, so we got what we need, and we are going to pause this attack, and let's just close it, discard it, go to the repeater. Now if I say here /admin and send this request, and in response we find everything. So I'm going to right click on the response and show response in the browser, copy that URL, come here, make sure the burp proxy is enabled on your browser, open new tab and just paste that URL, hit enter, and once you hit enter, you can see you can access the local admin panel. Fine, and there is a link to delete the Carlos account, but once you click this delete, it is not gonna give you anything, because it is going to see your IP, which is public IP, and you are not directly going to access this API server. Fine, let's try. If I say delete, so not found, right? Okay, go back to the burp proxy, go back here, and let's send this request again, and come back here, and Carlos is still there. Carlos user is still there, means it's not deleted. So whatever you want to perform on that server, you only can perform through this web application. You cannot directly take actions on it, right? So that's it. We are going back. Just take this URL, which is to delete Carlos user. So copy that, and now this time, sorry, not from here, should be from here, delete Carlos. So just copy that and paste it after this and send this. So your request first going where? Your request first going to the front end server, okay, which you can directly access. Then this front end server is going to send this request to the internal server. So that is going to be successful request. So just send that, sit back, you got 302. So follow redirection /admin. No. Again, it's finding our IP, but now that request is already processed. So once we go back here, back, and send this request again, just send it, and this time you will see we will not get, first of all, congratulations, you solved the lab, and this time we are not going to get the Carlos account here. So user deleted successfully, and there is only winner user this time. So right click on it and show response in the browser, copy that, go back to the browser, come back here, make sure burp proxy is enabled, and just paste that URL and hit enter. And as you can see, congratulations, you solved the lab, user deleted successfully, and inside users list you will not find the Carlos account because it's already deleted. So I hope you understand everything. If you even have any confusion or any query, you can put your query in the comment section. I will try to resolve it or answer it as soon as possible. See you, and if you like the content, please like, subscribe and share. Bye.